Forbes India presents Top 30 Talent Leaders of 2023, powered by Indeed.
Hi, my name is Deepti. I currently lead talent acquisition and diversity for Honeywell India, and I also take care of some niche projects for leadership pipeline for APAC. So I would rather answer it in a manner that what inspired me to stay. Why I got into HR was a little obvious because I studied and HR was a major, and hence I ended up kind of starting my first job in the HR domain. However, what inspired me to stay was an underlying sense of the function that whether it's hiring, engagement, retention, or development, I think all throughout these four pillars of HR, there is a sense of purpose that I feel that I could give to, let's say, a prospective hire or to an existing employee. To a prospective hire by giving him, being a catalyst and allowing him to take up a job that could give him purpose for the next couple of years. When it comes to retention, retaining an employee and ensuring that there is business continuity, and by developing an employee so that he or she is upskilled and is able to deliver towards the organization, so that organization kind of sustains and performs better each year. So I think it was more an underlying sense of purpose that inspired me to stay in HR. I somewhere feel that the challenge that an HR leader would face is actually not too different from what a business leader faces. So practically, over the last couple of years, what I've seen as some of the changes are that there is a generational change, right? So we had boomers, we millennials, and then Gen Zs. And Gen Zs are entering corporates and taking up bigger roles. So that's one. It's a generational mindset change. There is a crazy amount of digitization that's happened over the last decade, and practically over the last 5 years, if I must say so. And the third aspect, I would say, is also the geopolitical happenings around the globe, which kind of impact economies and hence they impact the corporates, right? So I think these are three odd changes, or you can say uh, three pivots, which are kind of impacting or which are really challenging. The way to deal with is, I think, we are still trying to figure out what is the exact answer. But I think there are some steps that I personally feel could be impactful. The first step is around employer advocacy. So I believe in the fact that employees are the most inspirational point, if I or the center of inspiration that can inspire the existing employees, that can inspire the external talent who are looking forward to join you. And the second is, of course, you can't really run away from digitization. It's here to stay. So how do we make, or how do we kind of take up platforms which are user friendly, which are employee friendly, which are customer friendly? So we need to adopt technologies, or we need to build technologies which enable an ease of processes throughout an employee life cycle or a customer life cycle. So I think these are adoption of user friendly, easy technologies, and coupled with the fact that your employees become your ambassadors. So I think these two strategies, and they'll have micro planning, and they'll have micro strategies under them. I think I would say that it might not be very different to what some of my other peers and colleagues would have kind of gone through. I had my share of some of happy moments, share of frustrations, throughout my journey. But I think um, being agile is something which you can't really avoid for a very long time. So agility is something that kind of helped me to overcome a lot of roadblocks that you hit when you're on a regular workday basis. So being agile, trying to try something. If it doesn't work, don't give up, move on to something else. So that was one. The second was, I think, I have been fortunate enough to have very good mentors and seniors, and I think I've got some amazing learnings from them. One of them is, from one of my mentors was that, and I still live by it, that being consistent would beat anything that you encounter. So try and be better today than what you were yesterday. So and this only happens when you do a small contribution every day. So, and the other thing that I think I still struggle with, but I'm trying to overcome that, is how do you network a little bit more. So when I started my corporate life, I was a little bit of an introvert, and the job really requires you to reach out. So so how do you kind of incorporate like an intentional discipline, right? So that was something also that I it's hard, but I try to be intentionally incorporate, to kind of move away from, let's say, an introvert to, now I would not say an extrovert, but let's say an ambivert. So I think so my professional journey, if I have to sum up, it's a part is, you can call it a part of organic growth, that you learn on the job and you grow, and some bit of it is also intentional discipline that has helped me so far, and I hope it kind of helps me in the future as well. If you look at the reports and whatever is happening in huge conferences across the globe, everyone appears to be very bullish about India per se. So I think what it brings down to the fact is that we as HR TA leaders have to be very focused on planning ahead, and the market forecasting might not allow us to really plan or forecast to the T. So I think something that we are alluding to do, or we are doing right now, is how do you proactively network and build communities of talent which is external and not internal to your organization. So trying to reach out to the external talent before you actually have to hire them, right? So that's talent pooling is one exercise. We call it proactive talent pooling, and it is backed by a very strong platform that enables housing of people and ensuring that they get to see what we are doing and what we have to offer. So proactive talent pooling, employer advocacy is here to stay. I'm a big sponsor of that. So I would still stick to the fact that I said earlier, employer advocacy is here to stay, and we are investing in it, and we will continue to invest in it. And the third very critical aspect is, how do you invest in your current employee base, right? A lot of organizations call it talent mapping, some call it succession, but essentially what it boils down is that there is a strong need to invest in your current people so that they become your advocates of your organization. So we have some bespoke programs that we run for our internal employees. These three things I think we are trying to drive, and all of them are backed and supported by technology. Now, how technology helps is, I don't think there's a debate around it. I mean, it's been exceptionally fruitful, especially in the TA and performance management space. Technology has enabled us with predictive analytics. We also leverage tech when it comes to unconscious bias. Killing unconscious bias. So while it's again a very gray zone, and it's a very difficult task, but at least technology allows to ensure that it cuts biases to a minimum, right? So these are two qualitative things wherein we are using technology. Small things have huge impacts, because what happens is, when you do smaller things every day, it leads to a massive cumulative impact, maybe after a quarter, 6 months, or after a year. So one thing that I've always believed in is that you have to do small improvements every day rather than projectizing everything and trying to make a project charter of everything, which might not be required in the hindsight. The second thing that I'd like to say is that I am a strong believer of execution. While there is a strategy that has to be in place, however, a strategy without execution is futile. So I do emphasize on the fact that it is important to ensure that you execute a certain plan well. And third thing that I believe in, and it's also a Honeywell behavior, it's think big and make it happen. So there is, I mean, from my previous organizations, I was always encouraged to think about bigger ideas, think that could actually change the way the world works, right? And I carry the similar thought process at the back of the mind every day that I go to work, is that think big and make it happen. I was always interested to study a little bit more, um, something around psychology. The assessments that we do, the behavioral competency assessments, they've always kind of intrigued me a lot. So I think I would have studied a little bit more, and I would probably be researching on something, if not what I'm doing right now. I think focus on details. I do see when I talk to people around. I think uh, I we are trying to become a little bit more superficial. We try and add more adjectives, but honestly, there's nothing more beautiful than trying to understand any concept, process, procedure at length or in detail when you join an organization, and be very honest and authentic about it, right? Try and understand things that are around you, and then question. So depth, detail is very important, especially when you start your career. The second big thing that I think is very important is self awareness of your business. These days, while there are beautiful induction plans and assimilation plans, but nothing works better than self learning. So I would really encourage you to kind of, if you've joined an organization, try and learn about the organization's history a little bit. Go to length, go to details, go to depth, and try and not be superficial. There's nothing beats simplicity. We're living in a very dynamic world, something new in form of a natural aspect, or in form of a geopolitical aspect, or in form of a new technology, right? These days people are talking about chat gpt, and I really want to learn about it, what it is, what it does. Is it helping? Is it not helping? If it's not helping, how do we deal with it? Is it, if it's helping, how do we harness it? So essentially, learning and unlearning is what I see lies ahead.
Forbes India presents Top 30 Talent Leaders of 2023, powered by Indeed.